Welcome to a new episode of More Than Dice. I'm Gonzo.
I'm John.
I'm Cathy.
Cathy is going to be on screen, but we'll be painting instead of seeing her awesome face. She has models she wants to work on. She's going to be working on some Warcry models. So you'll be watching that, and maybe a little small. Just kind of go in there and peek, squint really hard. We're on episode 94. There you go. You happy, John?
I'm happy.
Are you happy? Today's discussion is we're going to talk about Star Wars miniature games, and Cathy is going to be talking about painting on stream. I'm going to be asking her a few questions on that because something's been happening pretty good with Cathy on stream, and I think we can kind of celebrate that. Other than that, let's go ahead with our normal. Cathy, what are you drinking tonight?
Coffee.
Coffee? All right.
Later, I'll be graduating to tea.
So all the caffeine tonight for you is what you're saying?
Oh, the tea is decaffeinated, not decaffeinated. It's just it's a green tea.
It's a green tea. Gotcha. John, what's your drink of choice tonight?
Well, I'm going to start off with a shot of Captain Morgan Cannon Blast, and then graduate to a Force Blow, which, for those of you not keeping track, is orange juice and Kraken rum.
John is drinking the rum for me since I'm out of any drinkable alcohol in our house. So.
If you're drinking with us, put us in chat what you're drinking so we can see also. Tonight, I actually forgot to get a glass, so I'm going to drink straight out of the bottle some Sortilege. I'm just going to tip that bitch up.
You're like a redneck Canadian.
Straight out of the bottle. Very good.
Straight out of the bottle. Guys.
Coming soon to a paint cup near you.
Oh.
We want to thank everybody for showing up and for listening, and not only just our Twitch ones, but also our ones that listen to us on all the different platforms that we're on. We usually get quite a few listeners on the off channel, which is really good. We appreciate it. If you listen to us on one of those channels, go to our Facebook page. You can find us at More Than Dice, a podcast. Give us a like, give us a listen. If you have something you want us to talk about, post it up there. We don't have a problem. We will always try to find something to talk about, and if you give us things to talk about, we'll do it even more. John, do we need to salute anybody this week?
Yes, Aaron Eisenberg, who played Nog on Deep Space Nine, just passed.
Oh,
yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I saw that this morning.
He was like 50. So, rather relatively young and overall passing.
Yep. Anybody else?
I think that's the only one I saw.
There is, but I don't remember who it was. Because I didn't write that thing down.
I think the other one showed up in the middle of us podcasting last week.
No, not Rick Ocasek.
Oh, I mean, should I try and find out? I guess I should try and find out.
Yeah, Rick Ocasek, we said that in the middle of our cast.
Yeah.
Week. So, all right. To all of our listeners, here, there, and everywhere, thank you. Cheers.
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 Good out of the bottle. Just as good.
I still feel like you should be drinking that and eating waffles at the same time.
It's not as good.
I mean, that sounds good. Saying waffle sounds good.
So, all right, guys. Today's episode, we wanted to talk about some stuff because I bought some things, John. And someone bought me some things too.
Way to be vague.
I know.
We're going to talk about some stuff, and I bought things.
I bought the Guardians of the Republic X-Wing set.
Ooh.
Oh, swing models.
See these models. And then a good friend of mine, a really, really good friend of mine, bought me 2 Arc 10s to supplement my army. And it got me thinking. Now, I
Arc 170s?
The new the Arc models, which I think are. I'm going to say something first. The X-Wing models, I started X-Wing when it first came out, the first edition of it, and played a little bit of it, and it was okay, had fun with it, and then got rid of it because we didn't have many people to play with. No big deal. But then, the new edition came out, and it's kind of picking up a little bit. And, of course, we have the X-Wing Grand Championship at Warfare Weekend. And I've been wanting to get just a little bit of the X-Wing models just to play and have a few games. Just not waste like thousands of dollars on it, but so I can just go, hey, want to play some X-wing? Because I got a friend of mine locally that plays. That's just lives like 30 minutes from me. So, and I was looking at all this stuff, trying to figure out which one I liked. And I was like, okay, I collected the Republic stuff last time. I didn't like the droid stuff, so I was like, oh, we'll go with the Republic. Um, these little ships are badass looking. They were a
Yeah,
lot cooler than I thought they were.
they
Um,
level up between their various editions.
yeah, and I'm talking serious. The detail on these are really, really good. The paint is really good on them. Everything is just superb on them.
It's even better if you take an older version of something and look versus the newer version. You
Oh,
will see quickly, like, holy crap!
yeah.
And I'm not counting things like X-wings wings that close and open as well. I mean, I'm talking like just straight paint application.
Yes. I was really, really impressed. The arcs are really cool. Everything is just like really sweet. I'm going to pick up a few other models tomorrow and do it. But I was like, it got me thinking about miniature gaming and the Star Wars stuff. Now we have Star Wars Legion, which you and I have talked about numerous times. We don't even need to go over it. That it's your traditional miniature gaming that you buy the models, put them together, and paint them. Cool, no problem. But for some reason, the X-wing and I wanted you to talk about Armada is it's all pre-painted,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going from what I remember pre-painted was like
Well,
Mage Knight.
remember,
Yeah,
Armada is pre-painted except for the squadrons, which
correct,
you can paint if you want, which I have.
correct. I mean, you do have that, but for the most part, you're not painting.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but you can.
Yes. You because that's another subject I wanted to do after I started talking about X-wing and Armada or X-wing a little bit is the after market of repaints because there are some people that are doing some really cool shit with these repaints.
Oh yeah, I've seen some amazing X-wing stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean just incredible
Oh
repaints.
yeah, they're like the guys who are doing repaints of like toys and stuff, Transformer models and what have you. There's some shit hot work out there.
Yeah, I'm talking like I'm looking at stuff. I'm like they're painting these skulls on it, especially like the mercenary stuff, painting tons of skulls and markings all over them, and I'm like, holy shit, that's
Yeah,
just a lot of stuff.
yeah.
Um, so it was interesting, but it got to the thing where I was thinking that I don't know if it's just me, or if it's just the kind of the slump I'm in and painting wise and gaming wise, or I just don't have enough time. That I'm really honestly looking for games that I don't have to paint a lot of or buy a lot of. I mean,
Let me start with the entirety of the rant. Will be short. You don't ever have to paint your models. Don't let anyone tell you you have to.
correct. I mean, but you
Paint
you
them
understand
how
what I'm going from this, right?
I know,
Yeah,
but I need to make sure everyone knows because that's
yeah,
one of the causes I champion.
yeah. Um,
Play the models that you like.
yeah. But I was like, when I looked at these, I was like, holy crap, these things they're incredible by themselves. Because I
That's
thought, I might pick up a few and repaint them, buy some used ones, and do some cool little repaints just for fun. Because some of them they just look like it'd be real interesting to do. But then I started talking about the gameplay. Now I haven't played it in the new edition. I remember the old edition. I remember the things going on with that. So it's not like it's I know it's different, but it's not like so different that it's the entire world is different type thing. You know what I'm
it's
saying?
not really
Yeah,
different. It's the same core game. They fixed some
correct.
fine points and changed a bunch of little things, so they
Yeah,
had to.
but because I was looking at some of the rules and just going over it, and I was like, okay, this is still pretty cool, still the same thing, and I don't have to worry. And I know I'm kind of like bowling over with this, but I don't have to worry about it as much, and I can feel like I can just bring it out and play, and I don't have to build a lot. Now, don't get me wrong, you got to build your squadron, you have to say what point value you're playing at, blah, 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 blah. But I don't feel that it's like War Machine hordes, 40k, so much detail that I'm concerned that if I pick one unit wrong, it's going to be the end of the world for my
Well, I
game
mean, it's
competitively.
actually I would actually counter, and I don't want to hear this. Technically, the unit choices are more important because you'll have less of them.
Correct, but I'm just saying that I feel like I can buy a bunch of stuff or a bunch of spaceships, not waste a lot of money,
Oh yeah,
and still feel okay with my purchases.
I mean, yeah, you basically just get like one or two of every fighter. If they're big, you only need one necessarily. The
Uh-huh.
smaller ones, you can get two. And you don't even need to get them all right away, and then you can pretty much make your army. They don't have the upgrade cards are not as important because they have an app that does all of that for you now.
Yeah,
And the cards aren't limited like they used to be.
correct. Which
You
I think
should
is one of
get
the
pretty much
biggest
all you
improvements.
need in there. Yeah, they're doing it with for everything. Legion's got a set coming out too of the cards that were hard to get, so that you can just get a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And hopefully they'll do it with Armada when Armada has its big push next year, because that is the biggest problem with Armada. If you want to get in there, is the cards, not the models, because the ships prepaints are awesome.
Yeah, because I mean,
All the stuff.
like I said, X-wing events sell out pretty big wherever they go, and most Star Wars miniature games sell out pretty big. We don't know much about Legion as much as we do the other ones. I don't see a lot of Armada
No.
tournaments. X-wing and Legion we do see, because actually someone asked us for Warfare Weekend if we were doing to do Armada, and I don't know how it is wherever else is, but Armada is pretty much dead for a lot of people. John?
It's dead for a lot of people because there hasn't been a lot of support recently. Because I mean, there's only so much they could do. They were sort of in this weird restructuring, and to be honest, things outside their control
Uh-huh.
has made getting models here from their print their production place in China difficult.
Yeah.
So it is much slower and much slower than others. And I always find it funny that X-wing events sell out, because I'm going to throw some shots here.
Yep, go
X-wing is a fucking terrible tournament game.
ahead. See, I've never played it in a tournament setting. I've only played it, with like me and my friends
Well,
type
yeah, I
thing.
mean its casual strengths are its tournament weaknesses. Because in a tournament, you're just there's no missions or scenarios. You're
No, it's
just
just
fucking murdering each other.
yeah,
So it's you get early points and then run away and defense your way through. Hopefully, so it's like I said, it's not somehow it's got this great tournament following. It's not really a great tournament game by any classical definition, but the guys enjoy it, so that's all good.
yeah. I mean, like I said, the event we're running at Warfare Weekend, we've got 180 spots for people to play in, and we don't have all those spots aren't sold out, of course. But it brought up some of the things about the game, about how some people are really big fanatics about it. Like
Oh, absolutely.
as soon as we got the news that we could have a grand champion, and we started talking about it and sending it out, we got like messages from everybody around the area going, "How did you get that? How did you get that?" Because it's a lot. I don't want to say a lot bigger, but that's the best way to put it. A lot bigger than I thought it was. I knew
Oh
it
yeah,
was
it,
big,
it
but
really is.
yeah, it's
I
just
mean,
interesting.
it's big, and they have a diverse group of people playing, because it is at its core a very simple game to play, because you just need some fighters to throw out there, and anyone can jump in and play. It doesn't require nearly the amount of setup or models bought or any of that other games do. You just need a 3x3 area, preferably with a mat down, and
Mm-hmm.
the contents of the core set, and then enough fighters to play with, and you're set. I mean, and that way it is sort of a cunningly simple game.
Well, I mean, and that's something I've been reading and looking at it, and it's let's get some ships and just beat the fuck out of each other. Pretty much is
Absolutely.
what it is. And it's interesting because it requires no terrain on anybody's part but what you bring.
Yeah,
Um, you
the
know,
terrain is all the cardboard cutouts from the core set.
correct. Doesn't mean that you can't make your own terrain. I mean, you could
Oh
do
yeah,
some 3D stuff like anybody else, which would be
and
interesting.
In fact, I think even a company made 3D terrain that fit perfectly on all of the cardboard cutouts because the shape of them apparently is important.
Mm-hmm.
And like literally, it was like when the new set came out and they had different cutouts. Like, well, what do we use? Like, you have to use one complete set, whether it's set A or set B. Doesn't matter as much, but you have to use one of those two sets. So that is also kind of weird, but it's definitely a weird game from when you get to the higher levels. Like at its core, it's super simple, super casual, reasonably quick, though it does have the potential to bog down a bit. Because I mean, there's those couple turns where you're jockeying positions, getting shitty shots at each other, where sometimes no one dies.
Yeah.
It's a very, very dice swingy game at that level. But again, it can be a hoot. It's super casual at its core, so you don't really need a lot. And what I miss, and this will sound funny, is all the bigger box sets used to come with a scenario.
Mm-hmm.
That was in some way related to the box set or what have you. And one weekend, El Marshall and I just sat down and played through everything before the Rebel transport, I think it was, and played all those. And it was a really, really great time. Just throwing random stuff out and doing random things, actually having missions you had to accomplish where it wasn't just necessarily duke it out in a dogfight. The only reason we stopped at the Rebel Transport one is because we needed 3 Rebel Transports, which was a bit fucking nuts, to be honest.
Yeah. Now, going back to it, and we talk about the tournament and stuff. Do you think that it would be, and I don't want to say feasible, but that there could be a award giving to best repaints or custom painted models? And that could be something that would be, not saying that it affects your scores or your wins of the tournament, but award those people that kind of, put that little extra effort or make that little extra stuff.
No, I think that's always an option. I like that. That's though rather I would actually. Well, so you're a big tournament. You're looking for a big tournament level. So at a Warfare weekend standpoint, absolutely. I would just let people know that's going to happen. They'll bring their best repaint, and you can come by and judge them between rounds or whatever, or during the rounds because they'll be there on the table. Make it maybe part of their squad makes it more interesting too. It means they can't just get someone to repaint like a Millennium Falcon or a Ghost, because the Ghost is huge. The thing would take paint really well. Just get them to yeah, I think that could work. And on a smaller tournament level, for those of you who are thinking of that, you could always just have them. If you brought a repaint, you get a ticket, and then we randomly draw a ticket for a prize at the end of the tournament for each. So. That would be cool. That's sort of like we do for War Machine and Fully Painted Armies locally.
Yeah, if you do repaints, you get extra tickets for door prizes or something.
Yeah. Well, there's a prize, and someone who did that, when you randomly pick your ticket, you win.
Yeah.
You just don't make it like a contest so much as a, hey, did you bring one? Oh, cool.
Yeah, have a bonus.
It's easy to go and I mean, not so easy, but it's definitely possible to go and get someone with, say, Cathy's skill to paint up a model like that, and suddenly I mean, if it's equality wise, you're gonna win.
Oh yeah,
because a lot of those guys, they're not painters, they're players, and they will pay just to get someone to customize their stuff because they really like that squad or really like that ship and want it to look a little different.
Yeah. With that being said, I mean, we know X-Wing has a huge tournament following and just a lot of game playing on it. What do you see a lot of Armada stuff going on in other things?
So I keep track a little better than you do, so I do see there's still a fair amount of Armada out there. The fan base is small, but it's very sort of loyal. They really like Armada. There's a lot in there. It still gets solid tournament stats, just not X-Wing size, because X-Wing is much casualer, easier, and, to be honest, cheaper. And it's not like you need to learn extra rules. It's a simpler game at its core, and that simplicity hands over to the tournament play. Armada actually has these wonderful things called scenarios and shit. And victory conditions that give you extra victory points for performing them that aren't just kill each other. I mean, kill each other is always the core of it, but it's like, if you do this, you get extra points, Like, if you do damage to a ship with a bomber, you get extra points. Stuff like that. You know, it will actually reminds me a little more of how Marvel Crisis Protocol is going to be, where you bring your own objectives, and whoever has a stronger bid, just like an X-wing and Legion, having less points is your bid.
Hmm.
Has a choice of being A player or B player, of which I think one of them gets to choose the objectives, and then the other person gets the better benefits from the objectives. But it also affects it. So, like, if you've got three objectives that someone's terrible against, you make them choose. They're like, well, I got to choose something that's going to be shitty for me. Great. And that's an extra level of complexity in the game that most people don't want to think about, which I think part of why it didn't take off like X-Wing did.
Yeah.
Plus, ships are more expensive. I mean,
Yep.
at the end of the day, even if you're only fielding, you're fielding more stands of models in this than you are in X-Wing by a long stretch.
I
I
mean,
mean, I
you played both, right?
yes,
Have you played the new edition of X-wing?
yeah. Baney and I brought some and tried it out, and Bowie's got some.
Okay.
Not a lot of it, but
How do you compare the two? I know that there's big ships. It's big ships and small ships, but how do you compare the two? If someone was saying what, I want to get into both of them, but tell me the good and bad, or give me some breakdown of what Armada is.
Armada is a much more involved thinking man's game. I mean, I'm going to break it down to the basic.
That's fine.
You've got shoots and ladders versus chess almost.
What makes
X-wing
it
is
work?
a lot of shoots and ladders because it's not as much about it's some on what you chose, but once your ship designs are down, there's only so many points to change your ships. There's only so many in the hyperspace trials because not everything's released for that. The hyperspace, I think, is the format it's called.
Mm-hmm.
There's only so many things you can do, and there's some there you can next level that just like you could with a lot of games, but it's really a lot easier of a game. There's no scenarios. Hey, what is going to kill other ships and keep my ships alive? That's all you have to worry about.
Yeah.
Maneuvering's a bit more important than that, but I'll asterisk that because it's actually really important in Armada too, but it's harder to do crazy maneuvers. So I would say it's a little more forgiving in X-Wing, but it's important in both games. And Armada there's so many options in the game. You and I could bring the same ships, and they could end up fighting entirely different ways just because I brought different upgrades and I have different. I'm trying to do them differently than you are, and that's to an extent. Obviously, certain ships are only going to be used certain ways. There are ships that are only going to sit there at long range and shoot. That's what they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And there are ships that are going to get close range and shoot. But even more than that, though, there is a lot of other stuff you can do on top of that to make them different. There's a lot more upgrades that make a lot more difference in that game than they are X-Wing nowadays. And the fact that you have to choose not only your bid, which is important, you also have to choose your objectives. There's a lot more to the game. It is a lot more complex of a game. I would say on a scale of 1 to 5, X-Wing is about a 2, and Armada's a 4.
So,
So
if you just want to bring a bunch of ships and beat each other up and play shoot 'em up, you do kind of
I
X-wing.
mean, I would do Armada, but that's a personal preference. I would say for the average person, they're probably going to look at X-Wing.
Gotcha. But if you wanted a good classic long,
Well, it's not even that long, but if you want a more solid, well-rounded game, Armada I think is a better. I think it's a better game overall, but to the casual player, that's not important.
gotcha.
X-Wing's still going to give you plenty of fun. It's a different kind of. It's dogfighting fun.
Yeah.
It's simple, smaller scale. I mean, aside from some bullshit way back when, I don't think you see too many fighters. Generally, I think I see 4-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, you go on to the TIE swarms of yesteryear where it was like, how many TIE fighters did you bring? Jesus Christ. And Armada, they're actually people balance between bringing lots of stuff and good stuff. So there's a lot more out there. So it is more of I would say it's more of the case of a more close to classic war game versus a casual war game. With X-Wing, of course, being the casual one.
Yeah. Cool. I just like it says. I know some people were wanting to pick it up, and I'm like, I'll play the Galactic guys because I love the ships, and the ships are amazingly cool.
Oh yeah, I
They're
mean it's cool.
they're
They have enough factions now where a group, and I know this shouldn't matter, and most people make it matter, and I want them to stop making it matter, but it matters. There's enough now that you can all have different factions in a reasonable sized group.
yeah.
I mean, I think there's 7 factions now. Uh, that 7, yes. So I mean, that's a lot of factions, and not all of them have a ton of ships yet. But that's why you play the limited format, because that means you're stuck with ships that have been released. And they release about 1 ship a wave for everyone, so that's cool.
Okay. I was just kind of curious because, like I said, I got into it just because I knew some people were going and just wanted to get some stuff, and I thought it'd be kind of interesting. And I know
Yeah,
I knew you could talk about the Armada, and I had no clue about Armada.
I mean, I
So
can talk about X-Wing too, because I mean, X-Wing is
yeah,
one of those games where I own it. I updated my stuff. It is not one I would ever get rid of. I would get rid of. I mean, I have technically now I have 3 factions worth of stuff, quasi 4, because the Force Awakens starter set technically has 2 different factions than what I had originally. I mean, because originally I was buying some of the Imperial stuff, some of the Rebel stuff, because really it was like, oh, Wave came out, you got 1 ship, so I need to buy, say, let's say I'm going crazy. I need to buy 3 of the Rebel ship and 3 of the Imperial ship because there are smaller ships. You're still only spending $90. That's the cheapest hobby I know of. I'm gonna be honest. But nowadays, obviously, there's a lot more ships out there. If you buy a ship for every faction, they're not all going to be cheap. They're all going to be $50 ships. So, I mean, you're looking at more like, $200, which is still not terrible. Magic players laugh at you.
yes, they will.
But as a sort of secondary casual game, it's still, if you're only playing 1 faction, again, let's say you feel like you need 3 of each ship when it comes out, unless it's big. You're still only paying, $45 to $60 a wave, and that's damn affordable.
Yeah.
Rystem Design Cathy is painting Warcry models. I believe they're the Iron Golems faction.
Yep.
Which is a
And
great
it's
segue to get into what we want to talk about with her. Since it's about that time anyway. Cathy, lately you have been painting on stream and have gotten quite a few people to watch you lately. I mean, they've been jumping in your stream pretty regularly. What is your, cool thing that you're doing? Like, are you, offering money to people, or, what's going on?
Wow.
no. I'm not doing giveaways. All I'm doing is painting 4 days a week, and I think that's the main thing. Once I started painting 4 days a week instead of just 2 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
I like it better. I feel like I get more stuff done. It feels good. It's that sort of upward spiral of, instead of the downward spiral of, oh man, there's so much stuff I have to do. I actually feel good about my hobby. I feel like I'm getting faster. I feel like I'm making improvements, and it 40 it was at Adepticon when I was getting feedback from people who I found out that there's people who actually watch my streams after the fact, after they've been archived as videos.
Mm-hmm.
And I was amazed because usually I get maybe 3 4 people who I'm interacting with in the chat at that point, and and I was like, okay, so that's all that watches me, no big deal. But when I got to Adepticon, I got a lot of positive feedback, and I was like, well, maybe I need to. I think I'll do this 4 days a week, and then I changed my time from in the morning to in the afternoon, so there's less stress of me running around in the morning trying to get stuff done before I started the stream. Now there's people who could see me in the morning, who can't see me in the afternoon. There's some British people who used to watch me in the morning, but when it's 3 p.m. here, it's like 10 p.m. there or something like that, or 11. And there I have one guy from the Netherlands who's like an insomniac or something, and he comes on and he'll hang out, which is cool. Hey, Mr. Snowyak, if you're out there.
But I
We
mean,
also stream for a long time, which is good, and with 4 days, it gives them a sense of consistency because they can come in and really see the progress.
That's a key thing is I'm I'm training myself, and I'm training, the people who come hang out with me in the chat. That it's every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's 3 p.m. Central. And so they know. They just know. And, if they're smart, they give a follow and they tick the bell, because that way they'll get notifications every time I go live,
yes.
which is a huge help. And I've actually been watching other people's streams, and I think that's another key thing is to just see what other people are doing.
Yeah.
It gives you good ideas. It helps you to see that not every I'm going to call it like a stream culture. Like each person has their own culture that develops in their chat. The different people that are there, the way they interact with each other, the way you interact with them. It's it's fun. I have days where I'm like, I'm not going to get that much painting done because I'm going to be busy talking to all the people in the chat, but I'd rather have a day like that, to be honest, than a day where there's no one there, and I keep it in mind that there's people that are going to watch it after the fact, so I want to, keep talking while I'm going, explaining what I'm doing. Those are probably the better ones for people who are watching after the fact than ones where I'm just, giggling inanely at something that someone in the chat wrote.
Fair. You have a lot more success than I did with doing my hobby streaks on Facebook. Gonzo tells me a bunch of people will watch it afterwards, but live I get almost no one, which is fine. I mean, I'm not doing it. I mean, I'm doing it for them also, but I'm mostly doing it for me.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it right now because I'm pretty sure Assembly is going to be boring as spit to watch on, so.
I wonder about that because I've seen other people do assembly and stuff, and they're like, this is part of the hobby, and it's part of the hobby that has to be done. Everybody has to do it, and they'll do it on screen, and people like it because you can learn tips and tricks from watching somebody else assemble stuff too. And you can also realize that you're not the only person that makes these same crazy mistakes too, like gluing 4 parts of a model to each finger.
And be cursed for 15 minutes. I try and find a foot that went flying, and I still have not found a week later.
Yes, things like that.
Well, where it went, it is gone now.
It's because we've all done that. Jim and I have done that. There was something that Jim dropped on the floor before Adepticon, and we didn't find the gun that broke off of it until a week later. I found it on the floor in the kitchen.
There was a piece I dropped at my old place that I did not find out when I moved. It still did not reappear. I'm pretty certain it flew somewhere, and then the rats got it and destroyed it, and it doesn't matter anymore. I got a replacement, but it was like, where did this go? Like the carpet
into the warp.
It's tan. You will see gray parts with reasonable ease when I'm shining 79 lights on it.
That's perils of the warp, my friend.
Yeah, well, it pisses me off, and then I gotta go. Well, I mean, I guess that's actually good content at the end when you stop looking, get back out, and like, all right, now I'm going to show you how I find a part to replace.
Right.
I had to do that recently.
Miniature Market or eBay or
Oh,
all that.
If I'm an old school gamer, I grabbed my bits and I found something in what I have.
Oh, well, you could be like me where my awesome chain part on this model was so flimsy because GW doesn't seem to realize that tiny scale models can't have such flimsy plastic bits.
Oh yeah.
Right out of the box, the thing was broken. And so this is my paperclip solution.
Oh.
It is in the same shape as what the if the chain was supposed to be. Does it look as cool as the chain? No, but this shit's never gonna break. And it's not just it's not bending when I touch it either. Not like this other guy here. This guy, every time I touch it with the paintbrush,
man, how did my camera get all messed up?
It ducks away. Every time I touch it, it just bounces away. So I have to actually take my other hand and hold the chain steady while I'm painting it. Not looking forward to that.
So here's the guy that I'm worried about here. Get that out of the way a little bit. With this grappling hook, it's much the same thing. This is not very. I mean, luckily it's attached to part of his hand, and then they try to divot where it attaches. But still, I'm worried about this guy, and he's a very cool guy. I don't want him to break. So, yeah, I turn on my paint cam just for that. Hey, I mean, technology, we have it. Let's use it, right?
Oh, Crimson says, also depends on your personality and stream presence. I mean, when I watch painting streams on Twitch, I'm looking at the screen maybe 1% of the time because I'm usually painting my own stuff. And, yeah, that's definitely the case. There's plenty of people that are painting while they're watching, and
yep.
Snoyak was folding laundry to my stream. He's like, you're very good to fold laundry to. So that's, something.
So why is my picture being stupid now? There you go.
A little bit.
And then Crimson says, also, I once saw a streamer spill a whole pot of Null oil on stream. I had the thing where I had this very bottle, in fact, of Secret Weapon Orange Rust. The nozzle had dried into the cap. And so when I went to put my few drops out on the palette, I didn't realize that the nozzle wasn't on it, and more than just a few drops came out on my palette.
And you painted everything rust that day.
Yes, I did.
I know that feeling. I've actually had one of the Vallejo paints. The nozzle got clogged, and I didn't realize it. And at the point where I was about to give up, I squeezed a little too hard, and the front part came out, and I had white paint every fucking where.
Oh, we have all been there.
Oh yeah.
That's universal. That's like the first thing that happens when you use a nozzle bottle, and as a friend of mine found out at ReaperCon, sadly.
Oof.
Much to her chagrin.
And that's why you don't keep painted models near your work area if you can help it, because that shit might happen, and you don't want it to happen to your painted models.
So that did in fact happen.
Oh.
That happened to Jim's models.
Yeah.
That's
the worst.
It was an unfortunate.
It's like the same feeling when someone spills or knocks over a tray of painted models. You're like, no. I've seen it happen in a store, and I'm like, no shit. Right.
Everything goes in slow motion. Everybody's like, what?
I was like, I catch it. I didn't catch it.
That's like when the battle bunker had expanded, they put in these new tables, and they weren't the same usual sturdy tables that they had. They were badly put together, and so Jim was playing in a fantasy tournament with his lizard men, where the ones where he scratch sculpted a bunch of stuff and it won the armies on parade and everything. And the guy on the other side, Jim and him were they're like, you can't lean on the edge of the table. You can't sit on a chair and put your elbows up and lean into the table.
Ruh-roh.
But he did.
I know what happened because the
Yeah.
guy I
And
worked at the Games Workshop named Jimmy. He said that was his tactic to win unwinnable games at grand tournaments. He's like, I just slowly nudge the table over towards my opponent with my stomach, and then when he puts his hands down, I give it a little push on my end, and it flips up, and I go, "But dude, you were doing so well." I'm like, "That's a terrible tactic, and you're a horrible human being."
Yes.
it is, especially when you're playing against somebody who scratch sculpted most of their golden demon winning, and you know, that's our what is it? What is it? Armies on Parade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, winning army on the table playing against yours.
and you're like, "You did what they told you not to do," and dude, I mean, respectfully, fuck you. I'm killing you. Well, not killing you. It'll be one of those, last Boy Scout head or gut moments.
I think I think nobody would have said anything, but this poor guy. He at least wasn't doing it intentionally, and he felt so bad. And it's somebody we knew, and
That's like when somebody you knew hits your car. You're like, "Hey, all right, fine, whatever. Let's just get it fixed."
yeah, it was sad. But you know what? Things were not as bad as they could have been. The things that did break were not too difficult to repair.
You're completely
So
off video camera, by the way.
I know what it's Skype.
So that's
When I'm
that's a fun
streaming, I
topic.
have control over my freaking settings and everything. Here, I'm painting in the exact same position with my camera in the exact same
Oh,
position.
and I can see it fine. I just can't see it on the screen. So
Yeah,
hashtag blame
so
Gonzo.
actually, it's Gonzo.
Yep.
Nope.
Hashtag blame Gonzo.
Yep.
But I'll be honest, that having done a little bit myself, it is really not easy to keep your stuff in stream. Is another reason why I'm not right now. Is because I will lean back towards myself with a model to stabilize it well. I got a
Yeah.
big tummy. I can have my arms against my side. I can have really good stability, but you can't see a goddamn thing.
Yeah, that was one of the
That's
things I wanted to
where.
bring up about streaming. It's not just point a camera, put a model, and go.
Oh God.
I mean, if it was, we would all do it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's what someone told me. It was like all you're doing is painting on stream. That's just you have a camera and you're there. I'm like, no.
Nine
Well,
times out of 10, it looks like it's looking right now because or it's the crotch shot
oh,
and nothing else.
oh
But
no, my camera
it
just broke.
the thing is, you have to figure out what your natural painting position is. Like mine is, my elbows are by my side. I'm wearing a visor, so the thing is like, I don't know, maybe 8 inches from my face, and
Hmm.
and I have to position my camera. I hold the thing like I'm gonna paint it, and then I position my camera and I adjust my settings, and everything is fine. Well, I can't do that with this because for some reason yeah, I don't know what's going on. So this is Skype. This is not me on Streamlabs running my own stream. So it's not going to look the same.
But it's also to go this that even if you were doing this on your own stream, it isn't just you pointing the camera at your model and you going because you have a lot of other things you have to set up beforehand, like all the paints that you're going to use, the models you're going to use, the palette, type thing.
Oh, even tonight I was like, well, I'm going to have to, because after Friday I take my wet palette apart and let it dry out and stuff. And I had to put that back together and get a fresh piece of palette paper and make sure all of that stuff was here. I had to make sure that I had the black primer because I knew I was going to prime. I had to make sure all my guys were, you know, ready because I knew these were the guys that I wanted to be working on. At this point, I have most of the stuff right next to me that I need, but also learning how to use the stream software, which honestly, I have to say, Gonzo still helps me with that because he's the one who's done the most research on how to use it. and everything, and I'm just like using his settings, I think, for the most part.
Yeah, for the most part.
And then every time that I try to set something up, it goes horribly wrong.
So that's not good.
Just
But
gotta reset everything.
I have discovered by watching other people that I am not the only person that unexplained things happen to in their chat, weird technical difficulties.
No, no, it happens to
They
everybody.
they happen to everyone. I'm totally painting armpit hair in this guy's armpit, by the way. Just I'm gonna try and hold this up here so you can see this. Guy's got quite the naked armpit here, and yeah, I'm just gonna paint some hair in there because it seems like
Hmm.
unnatural not to have armpit hair.
Meal. I don't think that's fixable.
What?
My painting cam broke.
Your painting cam broke.
I'm gonna talk,
Bro,
I'm gonna talk to Razor because this is kind of bullshit.
Like, how did it break?
Well, you see this piece?
Yep.
Yeah, that's supposed to go right here. Now it just sort of like dangly.
Oh,
I mean, it was a cool feature of the camera, but I think the old tried and true Logitech probably better. But Razer is generally good customer service, so I will talk to them and see what they say.
yeah,
Because I haven't had it that long. I could find it on Amazon,
yeah.
but hey, that's slightly disappointing, isn't it?
welcome to
I mean,
Streaming 101.
yeah, welcome to Stream 101. Get a Logitech camera. Don't get one of these other. I mean, this was a seemed like a cool camera, but can't be if it fucks up if it breaks like that, huh?
Yeah, that's weird. What was the feature? What was it supposed to do?
Well, it actually rotates on multiple things. So, sorry. Um, it rotates, or it moves here and also moves here. So you have a lot of motion. But this part broke because it's just cheap plastic holding it there.
Oh,
It's not like threaded all the way through. It's actually you can separate it. So that is a problem. Huh. Well, all I can do is see what they say, right?
Yep. Maybe they'll
I'm
go,
sure
yeah.
they'll fix it. They'll, yeah.
I mean, I have. I mean, it's the reason bought it. Took a chance on something from a company like Razer because they're a good company. So
Yeah.
you look at that. The company you buy from, you should make sure it's a good quality company because stuff happens, and you want to or get the Amazon cheapo
Replacement plan.
replacement plan. But I don't always do that because it is still money, and generally it should be covered. But hey, case, there's something you look at, you know. The gear for streaming is interesting. There's a lot of things out there that seem like they might be good, but maybe they aren't.
Well, it also depends on what you plan on doing with your stream too. If a lot of people are like Cathy doesn't do giveaways or channel rewards besides our normal points and stuff, but the there's things that help with that. And Cathy just wants to paint and chat and have a good time and social. You
Yep.
know, relax paint stream is what they call it. I mean,
Is that what they call it? Because
yeah.
I didn't know that they call it anything.
Yes, there is because there's a lot of people that are like, we're doing like giveaways for everything that comes out, and
Oh, I've seen that.
yeah, and you're just like
Which
paint and
that's
chill
fine, and it's
yeah, paint and chill
that's not
people.
my cup of tea. But if other people want to do,
Yeah,
give stuff away, they've got the sponsors. They like to, and they're entertaining too.
yeah, nothing wrong with it. I mean, that's just not who or what you are. You just want to paint and chill with your people and your friends and talk about weird
Mm-hmm.
shit and get weird shit done.
Yes, we definitely talk about weird shit.
I know you mentioned that quite a few times. They're like, I didn't get much painting done because we talked about XYZ so much and I was laughing too hard,
Yep.
which is not a huge deal, I guess you could say. But I mean, it was interesting because somebody had mentioned to me this week that you know streaming and painting, you're just watching someone paint, and all they're doing is just getting their models and they're painting. And I'm like, yes and no. There's a lot more to do it, and you can tell because there's a lot more to streaming than just pointing a camera and going.
I am also talking about what I'm doing while I'm painting
Yes,
generally.
which is actually a chore into itself because
Oh,
you've
talking about something and doing art is very hard, and it took me some time to kind of figure out how to do that. And I probably sound all spacey when I'm doing it because I've got, it's that whole left brain right brain thing, and my left brain wants to just be absorbed in, you know
the
all of
process.
the visual stuff, and yeah, the process, and my right brain's trying to, or whichever half it does it is, one's trying to be analytical and try and figure out how to explain what I'm doing, you know, while I'm doing it, and
Well,
that can be a challenge.
let's talk about something else because I mean we only got a little bit of time, but this is something that you brought up to me back when I first we actually wanted you to be on the podcast because you were worried about the social anxiety of doing it, of streaming, because you were like, well, I don't know if I'm going to talk very well, or people are going to understand me, or people are going to like me, because you were nervous about that, and I was like, you're going to do great, you're going to do fine. Do you think your social anxiety, I guess way to put it, has do you think that's lessened now that you've been doing it a lot more?
Oh, it has. For sure it has. Yeah. Do I think that this means that I would be good at making tutorial videos, which was the other thing that
That we originally started.
that I talked about, and that was just too, like, some people are good at being instructors. They're good at coming up with a lesson plan. They're good at, you know, figuring out their process and articulating it in, one little tidbit, one sound bite or something, and I'm not that way. I don't think that way, and I feel like people wouldn't necessarily take away as much as they should.
Yeah, I mean, because
But when I'm streaming, I'm just talking about it while I'm doing it. It's all, just kind of free associating my process as I go, and I feel like it's more successful when I do it that way. But it's different for everybody. I think there's probably people who will be more comfortable just making tutorial videos instead of streaming.
yeah, I mean, because really, your episodes are paint and chill. Hey, watch me paint. I'll talk to you some techniques. Oh, crack a funny joke. Let's have a good time hanging out, type thing. And your stream is not about the whole giveaways or I'm going to teach you the top secret technique that only the pros know. This is a
No, you know
pro
what?
move.
I'm totally gonna do that, but that's not how I'm gonna say it. I will be dropping the secret pro techniques, but it it's just gonna be, accidentally.
Like, whoops, I spilled the paint right here. That's a pro technique that people want to tell you about all the time.
Watch me as I take you through how to clean up this mess I just made.
So,
Because that's something that I think a lot of people, if they make a mistake, they'll just automatically feel like they failed and they need to strip their model and start over.
mm,
And there's ways to fix things, where it's not the end of the world if you screw something up, or if you want to change your color scheme. Like, if you want to change the color scheme of the trousers on all your guys, you don't need to strip them. You can fix these things, and it's not. Does it take time? Well, sure, but so does stripping models take time.
And they're never as good.
Yeah.
no, you need some
So
detail.
so it's things like that you can do live where you're making a mistake, and Now you got to fix your mistake. Sometimes it works to your advantage and you get that happy accident, and sometimes it's frustrating and people get to see you work out the how to fix it. I'm told that can be helpful.
Happy little mistakes.
Damn it! Now Facebook's showing me razor ads.
Facebook.
Thank you, Facebook. No, thank you.
Someone's like listening to me.
I just want to say that I really like these Warcry as much as I was whiny about how fiddly some of the details are on them. They really are fun models.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're really cool looking. One of the guys, the store owner had some opened up, and I was looking at the sprues and stuff, and I was like, oh, I know what Cathy means now when this stuff is like this. But I was like, they look cool.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh, so did you have other questions?
no, that was. I mean,
Okay. I just wanted to make sure before we go off, talking about something else.
no, it was just. I had someone saying that they were like, well, streamers, that paint streamers, all they do is they get their camera pointed at there, and that's about it. And I'm like, well, there's a lot more to it than that, especially the technical side. And it's not just someone painting and that's it. There's the techniques and the talking and all that stuff. It's not as easy as people think, because I've known plenty of people. I know at least 3 people personally that said, I'm going to be a professional streamer and paint miniatures online as a commissioned painter. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'll
Good
support
luck.
you in any way I can. And they're gone in like 2 months or less.
Ha ha. That's that's like Jim always will tell people that. He'll tell them when they're thinking about being a commissioned painter, just how hard it is, just how much other stuff that is not painting that you have to do in order to make it work. It's not just painting miniatures and getting people at the local game store you know, to get commissions from them.
Yeah.
That's not going to sustain you, by the way.
And the market is pretty tight, because you got to get your name out there. And you got to be good, because even if you do like one bad model, everybody knows. And then everybody's like, well, I wouldn't do something from him because, well, look at what he did for me, type thing. So,
Well, early on, we were working for somebody. We were doing stuff for this guy, and he had 3 different levels of quality that he wanted. And we're just morphing this into a professional painter, commissioned painter kind of thing
you're
here.
fine.
So this guy had his 3 different levels of quality, and one was just like basically, base coats and done. And one was like in the middle, and the other one was our highest quality.
Mm-hmm.
And but we discovered that even he just expected everything to be the higher quality.
No.
He's like, well, but shouldn't that have a little more? And we're like, well, but you said,
Yes.
you just wanted base colors on this one. It was the middle quality that was more like, just above tabletop maybe,
Mm-hmm.
or which that's really amorphous. It's very vague.
Yeah.
And he really wanted to take us for a ride on that one. And so we just decided, we ended up just sending a bunch of his stuff back unpainted and said, you know what? We're just going to paint one quality from now on. And that's the best quality that we can do. And that's it. So now we don't have to worry about, different levels of quality and whether one thing is, higher than tabletop or they're all higher than tabletop. It's just, that's what we strive for. But it's
That's
hard. It's hard. You have to, You have to learn how to deal with shipping services.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You have to learn how to pack things in such a way that they will not break by the time they get to another country. Uh, you have the joy of learning how to fill out customs forms.
I don't know that from work, but I mean,
Well, sure, sure. Some people aren't lucky like you are.
it's really lucky, but
No, that's pretty funny. Yeah, no. There's a lot that goes into it. There really is. That has nothing to do with the painting. And then there's the whole, Cathy is obsessive about filing mold lines, so it takes her 80 times longer than it takes Jim to prep models, even though he files the mold lines just fine. So I'm like, why don't I just let you prep all my stuff?
teamwork makes the dream work.
Cause holy hell, it took me forever to file mold lines and assemble these 8 guys. And the night before, Jim had like done all of the beasts. What do you call them? The whatever beasts. The other faction that comes in the box set.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the faction.
And he did all those random monsters. While he was just in a hobby hangout with some people for a few hours. Like it took me like 3 hours to just get all 8 of these guys assembled.
Look, Cathy, I've hobbied at the table with Dave Taylor, and everything felt inadequate because he did everything faster than me. So I feel you. You're like, oh look how I'm good. Oh yeah, Dave, you painted an entire army. I got like a model done. Thanks, that's awesome.
Oh, it's like whenever Jim was painting during my 24-hour stream. I'm like, oh yeah, this is taking forever. There's like one backpack, and he's got like a Golden Demon Award running model straight from, Prime to Golden Demon Standard by the time I get my backpack done. And I'm like, damn it, Jim.
I had one of his work on the workbench live things where it wasn't live anymore because he does them in the middle of the night. So I just had it on in the morning while I was playing Civ. And I glance over there and it's just this primed car. And then I glance over there again and the entire thing is blue with shading. And it was it was like a half an hour, I'm sure of it. It's like, wait, what?
That's how I feel when I see most real painters paint. I'm like, you can look at my progress on a hobby streak, and everyone's like, look at all this stuff I got done. I'm like, I have models completed. I'm calling that a victory.
I haven't put together.
I've painted models. I played with painted models on Friday, thank you. Not all of them, but a majority of them. In any case, should we get to movies and media?
Is it that time?
It is.
Hooray.
It is media section. Today, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things to talk about.
Do you actually work during the week?
Yes, I do. I don't sleep. Ask anybody. I don't sleep.
Oh, you're one of those, yeah.
I actually sleep. So, I have 2 and a note on something.
So, and one of them is a series finale on one of mine.
Ooh.
So, I've got a bunch of different stuff.
Cathy, how many do you have?
I don't have anything.
We have to ask.
All right, so I'll go with one of mine. And let's go with one that new season started. And the new season, I was going to give it a shot for the second season. Because we had talked about it and I gave it some pretty bad ratings. It had quite a few space herpes for me. And I just didn't care for it. But I'm all like, okay, there was a couple of ha-ha hee-hee moments.
Say it that way.
But it wasn't good.
Space herpes for me.
And that is Disenchanted Season 2 has started.
Okay.
Disenchanted Season 2 has started up.
I liked the first season of that. I enjoyed it.
I would say the Gonzo quickly grew disenchanted with it.
Yes, very much. And so I decided I would watch, this season again. Give it another shot. Maybe they change up. Maybe, it's a little bit more interesting. Maybe it's funnier than what it's supposed to be.
Based on
And
your let's hear it.
it's not.
Yeah, I had a feeling based on what you were saying that was what you were going to say.
It's not. I went 3 episodes in and did not crack a smile or laugh or do anything the entire time.
So I will say, because I've been accused of being stodgy fucker sometimes, perhaps you were not in the right mood for it.
No, I was. I was good and solid for it.
Okay,
I
that's what I
guess.
said when I said I didn't like Anchorman.
Yeah. Um, I was prepared for it. I was like, oh yeah, hopefully this will be much better because I had just got done watching some stuff. Was in a good mood, so it wasn't like I was stalled face, rough or had a bad night or whatever. But it just isn't funny.
I
Uh,
liked it and I thought it was funny and I laughed my ass off. So
Well,
take that how you want. Gonzo and
humor,
I clearly have different ways of appreciating that
I
TV
mean, humor
series.
is subjective.
I
Artists
also think
this out.
that I don't care too much for like Futurama, and that stuff was never really funny to me. So I think that's also that it's either
Oh, okay.
bad.
So
Oh,
it's
oh,
it's it's you.
it's a problem.
It's you.
He's got no sense of humor.
Exactly.
I've got it. It's just there wasn't any really good jokes. Season 1 wasn't great for me, but there was still some funny parts and stuff. But it's like there's just not anything on this one for me. I'm just like, okay. And it doesn't feel like they're trying to be funny either. That's what's weird to me. There doesn't feel like now there's some things that are happening in it, and I'm like, oh, this is supposed to be funny. It's not.
Yeah, I'll agree that there are some things that are like blatantly supposed to be you know that they set it up to try and be funny, but it's just a groaner.
Yeah.
But there are other parts of it where they do something a little more clever, and I genuinely found those parts to be very funny. But it's not the haha jokey, gags. It's a little bit more of the dry kind of humor that I like. Sort
Okay.
of subtle witticisms that are kind of thrown in there, in addition to the gags that
So it
are
sounds
just
like I would
in,
like it.
like, they're an obvious, grab for laughs that
Yeah.
fail. Those parts of it are awful. Like, when they try and do that humor that's supposed to appeal to the masses, it's
Okay.
not that good. But the other parts, when they just have the subtle stuff going on, is actually way more. I appreciate that way more.
Fair
I
enough.
I tried. I really did, and I was like, okay, so this stuff is gonna happen, but it's like I said, it reminds me of like Futurama in a fantasy setting with even worse writing.
See, I like Futurama too,
And see,
though.
I'm not. I was never a big Futurama fan, but I've seen a few episodes where I'm like, okay, that's pretty funny. But you can tell if maybe they're just trying too hard this season or whatever. But I was not impressed with what I saw in three
Well, if their
episodes.
ratings
I
are
did
on the
not.
edge, then they're going to try really hard.
Yeah,
Well, I'll be watching the second season, so I'll have my take on that as well. You know, soon.
soon
Soon.
in the
I
next.
did just saw yesterday. I was like, Jim goes, they've got a second season out for that. I'm like, really?
Yeah, I was not impressed. I will remove it from my queue. I'm not going to give it a rating because I didn't watch the entire season, but it's not definitely not me, and it is not something I will continue to watch. I kind of hated every minute of it. I was like, this is bad. This is really bad.
Not Gonzo's cup of tea.
No. So it's a no go for me on watching Disenchanted. The humor is not there. The things that they try to be humoristic, I'm just like, okay, yeah, whatever. I was just like, nope, not good. So
So
it's a
on a
complete
scale
pass.
of Casablanca to Ready Player One, it's closer to Ready Player One.
I think it actually beats Ready Player One.
Oh, that's strong words from Gonzo.
Um, but I definitely are not in it at all. So, John, which one? What's yours?
So my first one was last night after playing some Transformers with the guys and eating a little dinner. We're hanging out, waiting for the B-Rad to get back with our milkshakes and chicken nuggets and such. I decided to throw something on, and I'm like, let me just see what's on Amazon Prime, and they got Mission Impossible 3. So I'm like, I really want to see 2. That's not free, but hey, I haven't seen 3 in a while, so let's watch that again. And man, I forgot just how solid a movie 3 is.
Yeah.
It's very enjoyable. Tom Cruise is, at the top of his game like he is in every one of these movies. But it's definitely, after 2 was sort of an action romp, which I swear I will review as soon as I find it for a reasonable amount of money, or someone finds me an HD DVD player to play, the copy I own. Don't judge me. It was cheap. I didn't realize. But I got the soundtrack too, so it was actually technically still worth the money. In any case, it's still, Tom Cruise plays Ethan Hunt, but this time he's got a girl and he's engaged and he's just training agents now. But one of his agents gets captured and he's got to go and get her out. And it's sort of a fun spy movie. I mean, I won't say it's necessarily fun, but it's an enjoyable spy movie. It's got solid action, really, really inventive sort of twists here or there. You don't see too many of them coming. It is sort of told out of order, which is kind of interesting. The bad guy is played by Philip Seymour Hoffman. He plays him very well because Philip Seymour Hoffman was a great talent that unfortunately is gone too early. Cheers to him. But very enjoyable. I mean, Tom Cruise knows this movie. They get a lot of people back for him. Not necessarily everyone, but Ving Rhames is back. They added Simon Pegg this time. They don't ever get ahead of the IMF back, so I'll be honest, I don't ever want to be the head of the Mission Impossible Mission Forces. That motherfucker changes every movie. I mean, every movie, someone different up in the hierarchy. I think that's probably not a position I want. Until later movies, but then that guy gets killed on screen, so maybe not the position for me. But this is sort of like the beginning of them coming back from people. People didn't necessarily like 2 as much. I enjoy it because it's a John Woo action flick. He always has problems in the U.S. because they just don't let him perform his craft. There's always much more studio involvement, producers getting involved, changes a bit of what he wants to do. But this one was a down point for the series, and then 3 was back up. J.J. Abrams came on board, and it's funny to say this. This is a pretty solid movie. Maybe 1.5, 2 space herpes. And the next 3 movies are all just plain better. Which shocks the crap out of me. And, hard question is, what is the better action series? Is this or the Fast and the Furious? Which I've been watching all of also. I'm up to 7. Reviews on the other podcast because I got to give everyone something special. But I'm not really sure which one's the better movie series. I mean, the Fast and Furious literally gets anyone they want back.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, you were in the first movie for 12 seconds. Hey, bam, you're back in the 7th movie for 12 more seconds. Merry Christmas. Here's your paycheck. Don't spend it all in one place. But they get a lot of people back, and it's just enjoyable how the series has evolved. Because the first 3 movies I love because they're all kind of a different subgenre of spy movie. You have the classic spy movie, not a lot of violence, anything like that. Then you have the entirely other end with the John Woo one, where it's violent and doves and motorcycles and explosions and gunfights. And then you have Mission Impossible 3 that's more in the middle. And it sort of sets the tone for the next 3 movies that are all much more in the middle. Again, somehow all just better, and each one, I think, pretty much better than the one before it, which is fucking shocking to do. I don't know how you do that shit, but they're doing it. So, Amazon Prime, it's free. Give it another watch.
Okay.
Because I enjoy the crap out of these movies, and It's good. Tom Cruise sells it as he always does. He always gets a good cast, and I like also when they don't tell you what the MacGuffin does. Spoiler: they don't tell you what the MacGuffin. Spoiler: this movie's fucking old as hell.
I still
There's
haven't seen
a spoiler. I love when they don't have to tell you what the MacGuffin does. What does it do? No one knows. I mean, they have a really good moment for Benji, who is what's his name? I said his name earlier. The British guy,
Right. No.
Simon Pegg.
it.
Simon Pegg's character, where he assumes everything is what he calls the anti-god, where sometimes it's going to kill tons of people and blah 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 blah. But he's not really sure what this one, the rabbit's foot, does. But I love you don't need to know what the MacGuffin does. And another great scene, just throwing a little tiny spoiler, is he has to get the MacGuffin. There's this big lead up to it, but then they don't show like him getting it. It just cuts to everyone waiting and then him showing up again. And it's very cool because it's a great subversion of your expectation. You're expecting this whole big action scene and blah blah blah, and it doesn't. It totally subverts your expectations, and it's awesome like that. So check it out. Like I said, 1.5 to 2 space herpes, probably closer to 1.5, which should tell you the quality of the next 3 entries. And honestly, I'm looking forward to getting the second one also. The third one's free right now, and maybe just reviewing all of these in order. Maybe not. Maybe not that going to punishment, but they're all very good. Enjoy the crap out of it. It is one of the modern classics for, sort of action spy movies series. It's pretty amazing, but it's a Tom Cruise series, and it's Mission Impossible. Gonzo?
My next one is another. It's a Netflix movie called Tall Girl. I fully expected what I was going to go in and get, or what I was expecting was a teen rom-com about a girl that's super, super tall and has to deal with the trials and tribulation of being a tall girl in high school. Okay, I get it. I knew a really tall girl in high school and stuff, and, she would talk to me about all that stuff, so, I was like, whatever. And so I did a little research on, who was in it, looking at, the actors and actresses and such. And there's actually a controversy about this movie. About being a tall girl. There was a lot of people that shit all over this movie. And I am going to also. Because this movie sucked.
Wow.
I mean, this movie sucked.
Good twist.
I'm used to teen high school dramas and stuff, but all of this was just all over the place. She's a tall girl. She has a guy that's like all, into her and has been since the age of like 5, has liked her. All the tropes, every single trope is in this.
Before she was tall,
Yeah. And
Does that actually happen in the real world?
What?
Being into girls like since you were 5? Because I don't even talk to anyone that's not related to me that I knew when I was 5.
Yeah. Then this mysterious guy from the Netherlands or whatever comes in, and he's, super, super tall and gorgeous, and everybody loves him, and he's the center of attention, but he learns a life lesson about himself and a life lesson with the girl. And, it's just, you're just like,
Wow.
holy shit, did they just drag every trope and jump every shark?
So let me ask you this. When did the cliche police pull you over and tell you to stop this movie?
It told me probably about the first 30 minutes, but I went and watched it anyway because it's only about an hour and a half or so, hour and 40. It was bad.
Because you really did have insomnia.
Like I said, I don't sleep, guys. But it was bad. I was hoping for a good teen little high school drama, which I love those shows. I love teen high school stuff. It's fun and interesting, but it was just they took every trope, every shark, and they jumped. They didn't jump over the shark. They jumped over oceans of sharks. It was so bad.
Did you say they jumped over Sharknadoes?
Yes, plenty of Sharknadoes. But it didn't even flow right. The characters were very bland and boring. Plot completely predictable. It just, you're just like, really? This is really, really bad.
So, no redeeming features. Wow.
No, I was really...
On a
was just like
scale of Atlantic Rim to Casablanca.
the only thing that Atlantic Rim beats it is because there's no special effects. So Atlantic Rim
I mean,
beats it over, on
to
that
be
front.
honest, there's no special effects in Atlantic Rim either.
True. It's more like a guy with Microsoft Paint working in Atlantic Rim,
Oh
but
no,
it,
Atlantic Rim actually actively insults you.
yeah. I mean, okay.
It's,
So just to give you an idea of how bad, Rotten Tomato gives it a 29%, IMDb a 5.5. It's just really
I don't know.
bad.
On IMDb, there's a lot of movies I love that are 5.5 or
Yeah,
so.
but I mean, you're expecting a life lesson, teen high school drama about what it's like to be the tall girl and picked on, but it's like right off the
Can
bat, it's all the crap that
I
you've
stop
seen
you
in
there?
every movie.
When does that sound interesting? Like, oh, I'm a tall girl, and it's terrible. Like,
Well,
you'd be okay. Like, Jesus Christ, that's not even like a. That's not even sound like the lofty, heights of Breakfast Club, where they're all the
correct.
super stereotypes, and
So
would hung out with all of them.
my sister is a tall girl, and it wasn't. I mean, she had just the same drama that every single other person in high school had.
Hmm.
Not exactly the same, but conflated to the same
I mean,
self-importance.
oh my God, you mean like cliques and people are assholes and the standard high school stuff?
And people get bullied, and yeah,
Yeah,
all the things that always happen to pretty much
everybody.
everybody.
Yeah, so okay. I mean, fair. So skip that shit. Apparently, what were we gonna give it for rating? How many space herpes do tall girls
Uh,
get?
about 4.5. We won't get 5 because Atlantic Rim saves that one for them. But yeah,
Oh,
it's just
holy
bad.
crap! You saved another movie from 5 space herpes.
Wow.
But yeah, it's just bad. Don't even if you got it on your queue, just skip it. Go to something else. It's not worth it. Did you have how many do you have left, John?
Well, I have one and a note that'll be taken care of during the one. So
Okay, let me go with another one because we'll just dig even deeper. I watched the new. I'm not through with the series, and I don't even think I'm going to finish the series. And it's called Island, and it's I-Land. It is a Netflix limited series. Just to give you a clue of what it is, let's take Lost and shit all over it, and have the worst actors and actresses and shit all over them, and give you this TV series. It's about a group of people that wake up on an island, don't know what happened to them, and have to figure out what's going on.
so that's an interesting premise. I'll give you that.
You
Good premise.
learn that, and quickly, this is no spoiler because it's in the trailer a bit.
They're all dead.
No, they're all prisoners that are experiencing a virtual world on the island, but if you die on the island, you die in the real world.
Wait, so is it island like iPhone and iPod?
Sort of,
Like
except
is
for
it from
dash and land.
Yeah. So if they'd done a lowercase I, I think they would have given that shit away right away.
Yeah, it just
I feel like that's where cyber criminals who abuse Apple products
yeah.
go.
It's just bad. The acting is oh my god. I was like, really? You're just like you can tell that you're just phoning this in because you knew you were getting a paycheck. You're like, the guy's like,
Oh,
yeah.
that's the
Oh
kind of
my
acting
god,
I like.
it's just really really depressing. I'm sad. This is really sad. Are you sad? Cause I'm sad. And you're just like, shut the fuck up.
Real
I'm not even
screaming
gonna do
in Wanted. Somebody kill this motherfucker.
it. It's just bad. Skip it. It's right up there with Tall Girls. So go ahead. Going with your one in your note because I actually have a series ending I need to talk about.
So I started rereading. I was reading some stuff, got a little bored with it, so I grabbed something else off my shelf. So I grabbed Kevin Smith's The Green Hornet from many years ago,
Ooh.
which is based off a Green Hornet plot that he. This is comic books, Gonzo.
I know.
Based off a movie plot that he wrote that he didn't think he could make into a movie, and no one else eventually bid on it. So he got permission to make it into the beginnings of a comic series. And sorry to say that it would have made a great movie because it is good. It fulfills sort of Green Hornet stuff, where he's it's a legacy thing where uh, based off his father was the original Green Hornet,
Oh, right.
Kato, and then it's now Kato's daughter and the original Green Hornet's son. I'm not gonna spoil any of the series. It's old, but it's also worth reading. And he's sort of going to pick up the mantle and go back in, and it's all the same stuff. It's just sort of modernized with respect. Unlike the Green Hornet movie, I was starting to watch on Friday and didn't finish because apparently I have a limit to my bullshit, and it hit quickly. uh, that movie is so it's Seth Rogen and who cares? I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm gonna finish it, give you guys a full review, but right now, I mean, I could not. I just you know what? I have sleep calling me. I'm gonna go to sleep instead of finishing it. It it has all the cores of being good, which makes the movie even worse because it's got the right sort of setup. There's some points there you can see the core of a good movie there, but it was not good. It's not half as good, not remotely half as good as what the script Kevin Smith wrote. The script is bad. I mean, I don't want to say the acting is bad because they're in character appropriately for who they are. I just think the characters are written poorly. You have Christoph Waltz as the bad guy, and I mean, they have shown a lot of him in the movie for this. And I've seen this before. I don't remember all of it with great detail, probably because that's what you do with trauma. You block it out. But he's not very interesting of a bad guy so far. Seth Rogen and the other lead who's playing Kato are not very good in this. I mean, they're solid. There's some core there, but I know there's this bullshit love story coming that doesn't need to be in the movie with Cameron Diaz. I know there's Christoph Waltz coming back and trying to make his character cool and give himself a name and all, and that's going to go over poorly. I know all the stuff that's going to happen, and I dread every fucking moment of it. Because this is a spoiler, I really like the Green Hornet. The Green Hornet is my jam. One of my biggest problems with modern media is that they have not worked out the rights to the Green Hornet TV series, so I can get a fucking Blu-ray copy of that and watch all of that, because that is, like, most people love the Batman one. The Green Hornet was my jam. It was like Batman, but it took itself more seriously.
Yeah.
And Bruce Lee in that is awesome, up to the point where apparently overseas they called it the Kato Show because of Bruce Lee.
Mm-hmm.
But so, early reviews in on the Green Hornet movie is not going to be good. The Green Hornet comic, I'm through the first trade paperback, and into the second one, and I'll give it about one space herpes. It's not perfect. A little bit of the humor falls a little weird. It's kind of cliched at points, but Kevin Smith's dialogue is sharp. The plot is a lot more interesting than a lot of other things, and it is a good homage and modernization at the same time. It's how you it's almost a textbook case of how you take something and modernize it without getting rid of what used to be. You fold that in, and it's very good like that. So I'm looking forward to reading a couple more. I think I own another graphic novel or two after this, and I'll find some more on Amazon, and then I will find the time to finish that movie and suffer for you guys. I love you guys. Gonzo, finish off your thing. You got like a couple minutes left, but
I finished the series finale of Killjoys was this weekend.
oh shit! Don't spoil anything because
Not gonna spoil.
I've only seen the first episode. Look, it's the only one that's free. I'm supposed to borrow the series from my cousin John, but I always forget when I'm over his house.
Yeah, so I won't spoil anything for you. It was disappointing. Really, it was. They phoned it in. They phoned it in big time. They took like all the plot and just kind of just went, and we're done.
Well, I mean, sometimes you have to with a TV series. You have only so many episodes, and you're like, oh, we got to get it all done in so many episodes. So sometimes, like, we can make a bunch of disappointing episodes, or we can just make one.
Yeah, it was pretty much, they just phoned it in. It was really bad. And it's sad because I really like the characters. I think they're really interesting and a lot of fun, and I think everything that was going on, I think they dug themselves into a hole is what they did. And they were like, we gotta dig ourselves out quicker than anything, like right now. And they had a whole season to do it, and they did it. They dug everything out in the last episode, so quick, so fast, and it really felt bad. And
Sort of like the last episode of Enterprise, where it felt like they really just went too much too quick.
Well, it was like, oh, all this thing that's happening, we're trying to solve all this stuff. We really need to do it in like 4 or 5 more episodes, but fuck it, we'll just do it now. In 3 minutes.
Well, at the end of the day, at least they got an ending, unlike other series.
Yeah, they did. I really enjoyed. I love the cast. I love the characters. I love the people. Thought it was a cool series. I wish it could have gone on for longer, and you could have explored the world more and done more with it, because 2 of the series were actually in the same universe. It would have been cool to have them kind of meet up and do little cameos in each one. But the
Which
first
series has been the same
Dark
universe?
Matter. Dark Matter.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Oh.
Dark Matter and Killjoys was the same universe, and they were
Mhm.
supposed to have some crossover episodes, but Dark Matter got canceled.
I'll be honest. Having after the first episodes of both, I was much more interested in Killjoys than Dark Matter.
I'll agree with you there too. But
And Dark Matter had some good stuff, but it just lost me. It just was not
yeah,
at a point.
Yeah.
But I do want to see Killjoys. I saw the first episode and was intrigued, but it was the only one available for free, so I was like, well, shit.
Well, it's over. You can definitely see it, and
It'll be coming soon.
It'll be coming soon. I just was disappointed. I feel bad that the series didn't get to go longer and get to explore the universe. You can tell not this season, but the season before, that they knew they were going to get canceled, so they were kind of rushing the plots and building things up quicker and faster. And then they got the official notice that they were done, and so they were trying to cram it all in. And in the last episode, they just tried to cram too much, and it was just like, we're phoning it in. Yeah, oh, that big plot, that big whole story where all this thing is supposed to happen, and it's supposed to be this world-changing, life-changing thing, we're going to put it into 1 minute.
So I don't really blame that on the series. I blame that more on the whole industry.
Yeah, I mean, because it's not... They did what they could and tried to get as much in.
Yeah.
It was just... You can tell it was phoned in.
It's like blaming Straczynski for the 4th season of Babylon 5 being so packed with everything, and the 5th season being kind of, well, we didn't realize we were going to get the 5th season.
Yeah.
So, not bad. I feel sorry for them, because they had to rush it, but, that's what the business is.
Yeah.
Overall, the series, I would say 2 to 2.5. Overall, the ending series were a little bit meh. But like I said, I love the world. I love the characters. I would have liked to have seen more of just the team running around doing bounty hunting type stuff, but you don't get that as often and as much.
Watch Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, do that instead. So, for More Than Dice, I'm Gonzo.
I'm John.
I'm Cathy.
Good night and take care of yourself.
Oh, and check out our sponsors, More Than Dice and Mechanica Studios, and Archidan, their Tectonic Crowd Studios, because we forgot to mention that earlier.
Oh, also, Muse on Minis, because you can always check us out, because we're on our
Say
Facebook.
More Than Dice again? I must be drinking.
You must be drinking a lot.